Hola clase. We're going to talk about conjugating ER and IR verbs. Now we've talked about AR, but this is ER and IR. So when you conjugate ER and IR verbs, it's just like you do with AR verbs. You're going to take off the ER or the IR. And what's left is the stem. So for comer, ¿cómo se dice comer? To eat. ER is the infinitive ending, which is what makes it an ER verb. And com is the stem. For IR verbs, vivir, to live, take off the IR, which is the infinitive ending. It's why it's called an IR verb. And then you're left with the stem. And then you put the new endings onto these. So this is for ER verbs first. For yo, you're going to take off the ER and then you're going to add O, just like you do for AR verbs. For do, you take off the ER and add S. Remember, for AR verbs, you added us, so it's very similar. ER verbs, it's S. Él, ella, and usted, take off the ER, and you're going to add E. Remember, with AR verbs, it was A. This one's going to be E. For nosotros, for ER verbs, you're going to take off the ER and add hemos. Vosotros, if you're in España, take off the ER and add es. And for ellos, ellas, and ustedes, you take off the ER and add en. O, es, e, hemos, en. IR verbs are very much like ER verbs. There's only two differences. With IR verbs, you take off the IR and you add O for yo. Do, you're still going to take off the IR and add es, just like you do for ER verbs. Él, ella, and usted for IR verbs, take off the IR and you're going to add e. Those three are exactly the same for ER and IR verbs. Nosotros is one of the differences. For IR verbs, take off the IR and add imos. For vosotros, take off the IR and add is. And again, you'll only need to know that if you go to España, so most of the time we'll just skip right over that. And for ellos, ellas, and ustedes, it's just like an ER verb, so you take off the IR and add en. So for IR verbs, o, es, e, imos, en. So with verbs ending in ER, we have comer, to eat. So I eat, when you take off the ER and add O, it's yo como. When you eat, tú comes. He eats, él come. We've taken off the ER and just added e. She eats, same thing, ella come. You eat, usted come. And it eats, like if you're talking about maybe a pet, I'm going to say come. For nosotros, we eat, take off the ER and add hemos, nosotros comemos. I'll eat, if you're in España, take off the ER and add es. Vosotros comes. They eat. If it's guys or guys and girls, ellos comen. They eat if it's chicas only, ellas comen. And all of you eat, ustedes comen. Como, comes, come, comemos, comen. Another ER verb, como se dice to read. Leer. I read, you're going to take off the ER, and even though you're left with a vowel there, you just have LE, you're still going to add the same endings. So I read, yo leo. When you read, lees. He reads, él lee. She reads, ella lee. You formal read, lee. It reads like the computer reads data. Lee. We read, nosotros leemos. Y'all read, vosotros lees. They read if it's guys or guys and girls. Ellos leen. They read if it's girls only. Ellas leen. All of you read. Ustedes leen. Leo, lees, lee, leemos, leen. Moving on to IR verbs. Vivir, to live. Take off the IR and add O for yo vivo. Juan, you live. Tú vives. He lives. Él vive. She lives. Ella vive. You live, señor. Usted vive. It lives. Vive. We live. Nosotros vivimos. Y'all live in España. Vosotros vivís. They live, guys or guys and girls. Ellos viven. They live if it's girls only. Ellas viven. All of you live. Ustedes viven. Vivo, vives, vive, vivimos, viven. Another IR verb, abrir, to open. I open. Abro. Juan, you open. Abres. He opens. Abre. She opens. Abre. You open. Usted abre. Or it opens. Abre. Notice that these three are just like ER verbs. Reopen. Abrimos. Notice that one is the one that's different that we will worry about. I'll open in España. Abrís. They open. Ellos abren. They open if it's girls only. Ellas abren. All of you open. Ustedes abren. Abro. Abres. Abre. Abrimos. Abre. And that's a good way to practice too. Any verbs, whether it's AR, ER, or IR. You can just say abro, abres, abre, abrimos, abre. Just repeat those to yourself and it helps you remember the endings. Just another note, remember that the yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes do not have to be used. Remember, those are only for emphasis or for clarification. You do not have to use them. Most Spanish speakers don't. ¿Cómo se dice I read? Leo. ¿Cómo se dice Juan? You drink. Bebes. Try to do these before I say them. ¿Cómo se dice Maria writes? Escribe. Just the same when you have a name. It's just like saying, in this case, she writes. Or if it were a boy's name, it would be like saying he writes. ¿Cómo se dice we open? Abrimos. ¿Cómo se dice they learn? Aprenden. ¿Cómo se dice I sell? Vendo. ¿Cómo se dice Maria? You eat. Notice that it's Maria, you, so it's going to be the to form. Comes. He believes. Cree. We eat. Comemos. They run. Corren. I learn. Aprendo. Pedro, you understand. And again, because it's Pedro, you, we're going to have the to form. Comprendes. Esteban ought to or should. Debe. And again, because we're using a name here, it's like saying he. We understand. Entendemos. Notice it's EMOS because it's an ER verb. All of you read. Leen. I attend. Notice we're moving to IR verbs now. Asisto. Marta, you receive. And again, Marta, you is the to form. Recibes. We believe. Creemos. Back to an ER verb. Dr. Martinez sees. This one's a little different. When you take off the ER, the stem is just V. So we're saying he sees, so it's ve. I live. Vivo. Jorge, you go up. Subes. Esta decides, or she decides. Decide. So it's just like decide, but it's decide. We live. Vivimos. ¿Cómo se dice I open? Abro. ¿Cómo se dice Ana? You write. Escribes. ¿Cómo se dice she runs? Corre. ¿Cómo se dice we receive? Recibimos. Remember that an IR verb, it's IMOS. Recibimos. All of you should. Deben. Okay, don't worry about this last slide because we are not doing it in class. We just wanted to go over the ER and IR verbs. Gracias por mirar y hasta luego.